It's Fish at 6. Mike Fisher on the Dallas Cowboys. This is the Fishbowl. That is the Star rookie minicamp. Starts Friday and Saturday. And of course, we'll be inside the building to bring you all of that. Maybe we'll do live reports from inside the building. Interesting. That's a beard scratcher. 34 years covering your Dallas Cowboys, 40 years on the NFL. And I've got a Fish at 6 live top 10 for you today. Top 10 takes. There's some NFL in here, and there's some Xy and Ozy in here. So take out your number 2 pencils, and let's see if we can get a little bit smarter here. I also mentioned Shakespeare, Ralph Waldo Emerson, and Michael Irvin, 3 of the great philosophic minds of all time. So let's go. Item 1. On the old radio station, 570 Cliff, we had the great and the late Leon Simon. Remember Leon the barber? If you've been around here a long time, you do. And a beloved figure for all of us who knew Leon. Grew up hard in Houston. What was it called? The 6th Ward or something like that. Not pretty. And of course, Michael Irvin grew up hard scrabble as well. Yes, Max, thank you. I'm not falling for it tonight. I'm going to never fall for that again. Fish, somebody on YouTube just said, I'm going to try to never fall for it again. So Leon used to say, what you do speak so loud, I can't hear what you say. And I just thought it was so deep and so smart and so eloquent in Leon's way. And I went years thinking that he just thought of that. Kind of like Irvin. Michael Irvin used to say to me all the time, and I wish I can't imitate him, a man's greatest strength is his greatest weakness. And I thought that. I said, that Michael Irvin's a smart guy. That Irvin and that Leon, what a couple of geniuses. And of course, you could, it's not hard to figure out. It's so simple what they're saying, but yet so deep. What you do speak so loud, I can't hear what you say. Leon Simon. Or Ralph Waldo Emerson, who said, what you are stands over you and thunders and denies what you say. In other words, Leon, in heaven, you stole it from Ralph Waldo Emerson and repackaged it as your own. And Michael, and I'm going to say it to you, Michael Irvin, saying to me as one of his life philosophies, your greatest strength is your greatest weakness. And it sounds, I mean, at first glance, you're going, wait, now what? But think about it. I'm the guy that gets things done. Next thing you know, you're bullying your way through the office, right? I have a lot of confidence in my persuasive abilities with the ladies. Next thing you know, you're Michael Irvin. So I'm giving credit to Irvin. And then I finally, this only happened a couple of years ago. Somehow I stumbled into it. No, that wasn't Irvin that first said it. It was Shakespeare. Your greatest strength begets your greatest weakness. Michael, you didn't invent it. It's Shakespeare. Where am I going with this? Item 2. Man, oh man, the Cowboys believe in Dak. It's awesome. Absolutely. We're to win a Super Bowl here. What you do speak so loud, can't hear what you say. I don't believe him. And given the contractual situation, and here's the problem with the building, the locker room, and the player, no matter how often they say it, boy, Dak, we believe in you. You can win a Super Bowl here. You can lead us to a Super Bowl. Until my boss pays me as if I'm great, telling me how great I am wears thin. Kenneth Cook, Fish, I'm at my son's soccer practice, but I'm watching you. Well, don't not watch the kids. but it doesn't get any better than this. Well, that's nice of you. I appreciate that. I do. We are proud of the way the 75-member staff covers the Dallas Cowboys and hope that you are too. That's why we like you hit the like button. That tells the algorithms on YouTube that you want quality Cowboy information, not jibba and not jabba. And we like you to subscribe to what we do here too. 70,000 fish heads in Cowboy Nation strong. So if you are of the opinion that it's okay to sit at your son's soccer practice, but sneak peeks at the Fish Report and read cowboyscountry.com. By the way, there's some confusion about it. It's understandable. The two sites look exactly alike. It's being worked on. Cowboyscountry.com. You got me? Not the old magazine anymore. Cowboyscountry.com. That's the change. David Baker, Uncle Fish Premium. And it's, hey, how do I get the circle and the star like David does? Ask the fellas, they'll show you how. I've actually, in a humorous way, made that same parallel. That, this feels like Major League. The movie where they didn't like the lady owner and she wanted him to lose on purpose so they could leave Cleveland and move to Florida. And they won it despite her. The problem, and David, I love where you're going here. The problem, and I've pointed this out before about Jerry's view, hey, we're gonna do more with less. That's the movies. And now we can throw Major League into our, that's Chico, bail bonds, Hooters, not Hooters, what? That's Rudy's, Bad News Bears, Hoosiers, Chico's, bail bonds, Little Giants, Major Leagues. That's in the movies. That's not real. David doesn't really beat Goliath. Not in real life. With a slingshot? Item 3. Man, oh man, we're handing putting a lot on Big Mike's plate this year. He's going to carry us outstanding. We're going to win a Super Bowl. We believe in him. Do you? I don't see any proof that you do. And the coaching staff doesn't see any proof that you do either, since they're all on 1-minute contracts. It's actually 1 year, but if the Joneses could make it 1 minute, they just might. Stephen Burks, Fish, Moneyball. I don't believe the A's won the World Series, sir. I don't know. I can't remember what they did in the movie, but I don't believe in real life they won the World Series. The point is, why aren't these guys signed? The answer can't be because we believe in them. Item 4. I call him Tank. And I've called him Tank for years. And I said that to a Cowboy scout the other day. I said, hey, what do you think about Tank and his last year? And he said, who? I said, Tank. Who? Then I realized they all call him D-Law. So, but I'm too old to change. They really do. They really are pushing this idea that Nealand, the defensive lineman, draft pick rookie, that he's got those D-Law traits. And wouldn't that be something? I'm all for it. D-Law came here, Tank. And one of the reasons they loved him is the motor. Well, this guy's got that. So that's good. I just want to remind us, and I'm not trying to be negative Nelson here, but when they drafted Junior Fehoko, didn't they say the same thing? I think this is about throwing darts. Somewhere in here, they might get one. Oh, by the way, when you get another D-Law, don't pay him $20 million a year if you can help it. But by all means, get some more D-Laws. Get 4 of them. Daryl L. Gray, $20 pitch in to the Super Chat. If the Cowboys don't go further in the playoffs, Dak's value would diminish substantially. That's what they're counting on. Daryl, let's talk about this like we're friends, because we are. So you think the Cowboys want to be bad to keep a lid on his price? And you think that he'll stay here once he figures that out? And I say this respectfully to you, you're wrong on all counts. I appreciate you coming into the super chat, but you're wrong on all counts. I don't blame you for thinking it, because it seems so odd what they're doing. It's bizarre what they're doing, but I have explained it. They're all in right now with this group, and then they're going to blow it up after this group is done and reload. Maybe with Dak, maybe without Dak. $100 million worth of cap room without Dak. More than $60 million in salary to him with Dak. And the idea, Daryl, that after 8 years of Dak being good, that he's not going to have value on the open market. Based on what we've seen, when a good quarterback goes on the open market, is absurd. I give you Kirk and I give you Cousins. Item 5. Innocent until proven guilty. The camera can lie. Don't judge until you walk in another man's shoes. But I was really out on Rashee Rice, and I don't know him as a person. Not just because he did the 119 mile an hour high speed drag race in traffic on one of my streets here in Dallas. That was bad. That's bad. He's 20. What is he? 23. He's a kid. He's not necessarily a dumb guy. He just acted dumb. Horrible. Lucky to be alive. Lucky he didn't kill 12 people. Where I got out on him was when him and his buddies walked away. They looked around and they saw the distinct possibility that there was babies trapped in automobiles, that there was dead ladies. And him and his buddies skulked, is the word, skulked away on camera. And I was pretty much out on him then, and hoped for the sake of his future that a lesson was learned. And now comes a report from our friend Rebecca Lopez at WFAA TV Channel 8 that what is today? Today's Tuesday. That just a few hours ago, in the early morning, Monday morning, so 30 hours ago, he was out at the club here in Dallas, and now he's being accused of assault. Running back stuff. We've been telling about the Najee Harris baloney for a week. The Cowboys are not giving up 2025 draft picks to rent a one-year contract running back. They're not. Nor, by the way, should they. That doesn't make any sense. You get me a better running back than anybody that they have in their room on a cheap, long-term contract, and I'll do that. But I'm not, why would I want to rent Najee Harris given where they are? Doesn't make any sense. And it's not true. And never was true. So that answers that question that a bunch of you guys are bringing up, and I'm happy to straighten this out. Somebody says, what about the Miles Sanders rumor? It's not a rumor. It's a Bleacher Report. And we've written about it and talked about it. I'll take Miles Sanders on the cheap. Somebody's going to have to pay for part of his contract. But if they don't want him in Carolina, I'll take him. He's better than all the running backs they have here. But somebody else is going to have to pay. I'm not toting that note. And I don't blame the Cowboys for not wanting to do that. Highly active cannabis. You see that Micah versus Sumu? Yeah. If you read cowboyscountry.com, we analyze it to depth in a good way. Micah was on the Great Wall of China over there goofing around. So good for him on a promotional tour. So they're going to get this running back. They're going to get that running back. They're going to get. No, they're not. No, they're not. There's no plans to do that. By the way, somebody said, Fish, you made your list the other night making fun of Jerry because he says he's seen teams trade for a running back at the deadline and then go win the Super Bowl. And I said, my answer is no, you really haven't. And somebody said, Corey Dillon did it. You better check when Corey Dillon was traded. I don't think Corey Dillon was traded at the deadline. I don't think. If I'm wrong, well, I'm not. I so rarely am, and I'm not wrong this time either. Item 6. We wrote our story at cowboyscountry.com. Would you please bookmark that? I know it's confusing. Michael E., $5 pitch in. Are the Cowboys ready to enter the quarterback wilderness without Dak in 2025? One of their feet is ready to do that, and the other one of their feet is not, and that's how you end up straddling the fence. They clearly don't know. And that's a problem after 8 years, isn't it? We've had this guy here for 8 years. We just don't know. That's a problem. And I don't know that that's a Dak problem. That's an organizational problem. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. If you do want to do it, do it. We're going to wait and see, and maybe. And by the time you've waited just a little bit too long, he's a free agent next year and you get essentially nothing back in return. That is not sound asset management. You don't have to be a friend of the Joneses or an enemy of the Joneses to engage in that debate. You shouldn't engage in that debate. It's unsound asset management. Speaking of debates, item 6. So I wrote at cowboyscountry.com that somebody needs to tell whoever thinks is going to be such a thing as the Dallas Chiefs, that's not the way the NFL works. Mayor Eric Johnson of Dallas. And oh, by the way, whoever thinks there's going to be a San Antonio Chiefs probably is wasting their time too. And I had a bunch of people come back at me and say, what? I get Dallas. I'm not going to put 2 teams, NFL teams in Dallas. Stupid. Well, our population, it's not just about that. But why not San Antonio? San Antonio, what is San Antonio now? 5 million people? And San Antonio and Austin combined is starting to be a thing. And then you go, it's expanding like everywhere else is. That whole thing. Now, and my answer to why the no is because Jerry won't allow it. And I'm getting lots of responses. He doesn't have that kind of power. He doesn't run the... he doesn't? 3 sidebars to why you should probably bet against the San Antonio Chiefs, not to mention the Dallas Chiefs. Sidebar number 1. Mayor Cisneros, former Mayor Cisneros, who was, along with the late Red McCombs, the driving force to try to get the NFL to San Antonio. And they almost did it. They built a stadium and everything. That was in 1993, I believe. Built a stadium 30 years ago so the NFL would be impressed. Wonk, wonk. Is saying it's not going to happen here. We would support it. We'd love it. This is Cowboy territory, and Jerry won't let it happen. That's the boss of the project in San Antonio telling you no. Now, item 2. There is a thing about the 75-mile rule, and it's tucked deep, deep, deep inside these owners' agreements. You're familiar with it because of the TV, but it also applies to you can't move into somebody else's territory. You just can't. So this applies very much to Dallas, Mayor Eric. They just can't. And get financial backing from the league, which means backing from the league. One of the things you do, I don't know what it's up to now, but you get hundreds of millions of dollars from the league if you want to go build a stadium. They will give you the money. But if you try to move within somebody else's radius, they will not give you the money, meaning they're not going to let you do it. And then there's item 3. All these kind of things require a 75% vote, a 3/4 vote. You're not going to get 3/4 of the owners to vote against Jerry Jones on anything this important, especially because of this. And I'm going to skip my famous Jerry Jones imitation so I can make sure I'm really clear on this. All Jerry would have to do when somebody stands up and says, hey, I'm the owner of the Cleveland Browns, we want to move to San Antonio. All you have to do is turn to all his brothers and sisters and say, if you approve of this, then that means in Buffalo, you'd approve of a team being in Toronto. That means in New England, you'd approve of a team being in Connecticut. That means in Atlanta, you'd approve of a team being in Birmingham. Would you? Hey, Seattle, let's put a team in Portland. Is that cool? Hey, Las Vegas, let's put a team in Lake Tahoe. Hey, Minnesota, let's put a team in Duluth. Hey, Green Bay, let's put a team in Wisconsin. And all of a sudden, all the people that were even thinking of it would go, oh, yeah, we can't do that. Because if we let this one happen, we're going to have to let them all happen. And if we let this one happen, not only will it steal money out of Jerry's bowl, because it will carve a piece of the Cowboys' revenue away from them and give it to the San Antonio Chiefs or the San Antonio Browns or the San Antonio Panthers, whatever. But big chunks of that money go to the rest of the league too. The owner of the Bills, the owner of the Browns, the owner of the Panthers, he doesn't want to lose his share of Cowboys money either. It ain't happening. So they did that Tom Brady roast. I guess people don't watch Comedy Central because Comedy Central does one of those all the time. And it's on late, but not that late that kiddies can't see it. And it is raunchy. And it's right there on regular standard cable. And it's rough and raunchy and funny. Well, they did that on Netflix. Now everybody gets to see it. The publicity of it, because sometimes they roast, some semi-innocuous comedian on Comedy Central. This was Tom Brady. It was gigantic. It's not going to be hard to figure out when I give you 3 seconds to do it. Guess which other celebrity is the most hurt by it all? Tom's not. I didn't even check. I assume Tom Brady is a co-producer of that show and raked in money for doing it and subjecting himself to it. Gisele is mad. And she got beat up pretty good in that thing. And listen, that's what they do. They were making sex jokes, race jokes, drug jokes, drunk jokes, girl jokes. They made suicide jokes, Gisele. And you think you should be off limits? There's 2 takes on this. One, I always do like to leave the family out of it. They didn't sign up for this unless they sign up for it. Brittany Mahomes gets made fun of a lot. And it doesn't seem very fair, except she puts herself out there. She wants a piece of the celebrity action too. You know who really does this? And she's a lovely woman. Matthew Stafford's wife has a podcast. Why? What does she need a podcast for? Why would she have a podcast if not for the fact that she was Matthew Stafford's wife, and she says these outrageous things on this podcast. Why do you have a podcast? But if you want to have a podcast, then that means you want to be a celebrity, which means you have to put up with what I used to call with Des Bryant, who used to get mad at some of this same thing. I said, Des, it's the George Clooney rule. He said, what are you talking about? George Clooney makes $5 million a movie with his face and then walks down the street in Manhattan and gets mad when people look at his face. Or Alec Baldwin or Russell Crowe. The smart ones, and George Clooney is smart, they do not punch the photographer who takes a picture of them. They pose for him because they recognize this is why I make $5 million a movie. This is my asset. I'm not going to get mad at it. I get mad about it. My younger son, Tony, we had a Father's Day dinner. This goes back some years. And this is humble braggy. We had a Father's Day dinner. It was lovely. But people were coming up to our table saying, fish, which I thought was great. And I tried to explain to him. He did not like it. He thought, what? But this is our time. I'm like, I said, Tony, you're right. In a perfect world, he's come now to understand. But when Max or Steven or Daryl or Todd or Sugar Daddy or Gisele or Michael came up to me at the restaurant and said, fish, Tony's now coming to understand, you guys help me pay my bills. Your enjoyment of what we do here is how I eat. And so the least I could do is spend some time with you, even though I'm out eating with my family. That's my view of it. And it needs to be Gisele's view. Gisele, you signed up for this. You're a supermodel who married Tom Brady. And you want your privacy? You get your privacy in the sense that photographers shouldn't be climbing over your backyard wall and taking pictures of you in your bikini. You get that privacy, but you don't want people to talk about you? Yeah, you don't get that one. Item 8, the double A gap blitz. We're going to write about this tomorrow morning at cowboyscountry.com. And if you're an X and Ozy kind of guy, you will love it. I don't go too deep into this, first of all, because I don't want to stumble over facts. But, Mike Zimmer, been a friend of the show for a long time. Did you know that Mike Zimmer basically invented the double A gap blitz? And here it comes. Marty Kendra, Fish, I love the report. Checking in from Pennsylvania. Thank you. Gregory, Fish, Jerry hasn't signed Dak because of money. You mean because of cap space, Gregory? Is that what you mean? It's interesting you would say that because when he signs Dak Prescott, if and when he signs Dak Prescott, the cap impact will go down $20 million. They will save $20 million of cap room. So it ain't that. B. Teeling, Uncle Fish Premium. Circle and Star. Fish, I'm an ex-waiter. I worked for a long time in a well-known restaurant in San Francisco. If you came in like Joe Montana, I would want to give you time and space with Tony. Yeah, and Tony Fisher appreciates that. But I do understand that people want. Again, there's such a thing as a D-list celebrity. What am I, like X, Y, Z? But I've just decided it's part of my time. Let's hang out. I don't care. But yeah, Tony didn't like it very much. Stephen, Fish, we're grateful for your efforts and hard work. People are going to be who they are. Salute to you and Mrs. Fish from New Jersey. Thank you. So the double A gap blitz, and this must go back. This is Parcells. So Parcells and Zim working here. And they're just hanging around one time and they're looking at blitzes and they're talking about blitzes. And Parcells basically said, why don't we ever do this, this, and this? And Zimmer said, not only do we not do it, nobody does that, which is, let's put started out being two linebackers lined up against in the A gaps. And depending on which way the center, and then they both blitz, or they both show blitz, and they can run blitz. And depending on what the center does, who the center engages, there's going to be an opening there. And Parcells like, why doesn't anybody ever, when there's an opening there and there's an offensive line vacancy, why doesn't a defensive front player automatically fill it? Why don't we read that in advance? And they started studying like, you know what? If you put two guys there, the center's going to go like this. Like you always see the center like going like it. The center's telling everybody where he's got to go, where we got to go. And the next thing you know, Parcells and Zimmer, and then Zimmer goes with Marvin Lewis in Cincinnati, and they invent the double A gap blitz. And of course, the Cowboys have run it since, and now everybody runs it. But Zimmer invented it. And guess who might be the best guy in the league to use there? And he plays for your team. Micah and Mike and the double A gap blitz. Ricky C. Fish, I ran into you in a restaurant one time. You were very nice, and you stopped by our table to talk to my family. Much appreciated. Thank God that's your story. I would hate to have just said how great and appreciative and warm and welcoming I am. And you come in, Fish, I ran into you at a restaurant one time, and what an a-hole. You were an A-gap blitz. You were an a-hole blitz is what you were to me. Shedeur. Last week, he was going to be the first pick in the entire draft next year. Dion was going to steer him to the team he wanted to go to. It wanted to be a cold weather city. It was probably going to be Dallas. A week later, now the odds makers don't even have Shedeur as the top pick of the draft. What? He's not even the top pick anymore. What happened? What happened in a week? Shedeur's stock is falling. Chucky Joe, Fish, I've never met you, but I'm sure you're a good dude. You're damn right I am. Aaron K, Uncle Fish Premium, Circle and Star. When's the schedule coming out? Next week? Jeff T, my brother used to work with Bob Dylan. He's an a-hole. Ah. We watched a special the other night on, and Bob Dylan, by the way, is from Minnesota. So even though his music is not my thing, I feel some sort of fake kinship with Bob Dylan and Prince. And I also don't understand Prince. But we're all from Minnesota. And the special was on We Are the World. It's really good. And Lionel Richie like starred in it. So he must have produced it same way as Tom Brady did the roast. And they got Bob Dylan. Now it ended up okay. But Bob Dylan, for the entirety of this show and for the entirety of the 10 hours they spent in the studio that night and through the morning, he was a zombie. Like a rolling stone. I'm trying to think of that song. What's that song, In Blue? That's a good one. Hey, you know, used to be. What's that song, Blue? I put that in cowboy headlines every once in a while just to be funny. Come on. Tangled up in blue. That's it. Thank you. I knew we could do it. Tangled up in blue. The Shedeur story reminds me of the Rattler story. Remember Rattler? He was going to be the top pick in the draft. He was blowing and going at OU. Then some kid got a chance to take over for him. Rob Lowney. Actually, I'm a beautiful singer. But when I sing like Bob Dylan, I'm not a good singer because, you know, he's not really a good singer. He's a poet with a guitar. Oh, I can sing, don't kid yourself, Stephen White. I could sing Blue on Blue. Bobby Goldsboro. So Spencer Rattler. He's tearing it up. Nobody can stop him. He's going to be the first pick in the entire draft whenever he's out. Next thing you know, some kid comes in. Some skinny little kid comes in for him and sets the world on fire. And then they both end up transferring. Spencer Rattler goes to South Carolina. And where did he get drafted? And the skinny little kid turned out to be Caleb Williams. So before we get too caught up in Shedeur is going to be the #1 pick next year, and Deion's going to orchestrate his way to Dallas in the warm weather. I have no idea where Shedeur Sanders is going to get drafted next year. No idea. And either does anybody else. Let's watch him play. And by the way, where did Rattler go? No, I don't believe he's the first overall pick in the draft. And item 10. And I want to be smart about this. Tremendous respect. Oh, David Crump, Bobby Vinton sang Blue on Blue. Bum, 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 bum. Tangled up in blue. I have the greatest of respect for everybody who does this well or who's even trying. But we've got to do a better job. All of us. We've got to do a better job of making sure that we say rumor or gossip or report or idea. When we put proposal in a headline, the reader automatically thinks that the team proposed it, when it turns out it was just some guy named Christopher Knox at Bleacher Report who cranks that stuff out, man. And it's fine. But what happened last night, and it's my fault. Fish, I'm seeing some of your buddies are saying that Dak Prescott signed. And I did. I'm going, oh my gosh. And I'm not saying you were pulling my chain, nor am I saying they were pulling my chain. As it turns out, somebody just misunderstood something. And away we went. There are a couple of guys, and by the way, this isn't just, your local cowboy loving content creators. It's absolutely guys at ESPN doing this. We've got to do it. We've got to frame it right. And believe me, I walk the tightrope every day because I make a living on you reading the stories at cowboyscountry.com, and I do it in my thumbnails. And I do. I want you to look at that thumbnail and go, I got to get in on that one. And the pay and my policy needs to be, and then once you get in, you get the payoff. Fair? Fair. Cowboyscountry.com. It's when you'll see it's Athlon Sports. When you see the big AS in the upper left-hand corner, there's not a third S, by the way. AS. When you see the big AS, that's me. Get the right one. Cowboyscountry.com. Fish out.